Good afternoon. It's Dean Jenn, coming to you from my office here at DePaul. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a spring update. This is the time of year, exams have started, graduations in a couple weeks is a time to reflect and to look past to the past year and look ahead to the new year. So I wanted to give you a bit of an update. Again, wish we could do this in person, but at least I get to give you a little bit of a postcard, so to speak, from the law school for the spring semester. As I talked to you last fall, I think at the end of last fall, when the pandemic was surging again here in Chicago, I told you about what we were reflecting on, and those were the three pandemics. Of course, COVID, and secondly, the racial reckoning that we were having both in the city of Chicago as well as across the nation. And then thirdly, the economic effects of both of those first two pandemics, but also more generally. So I am here to tell you very proudly that we have met those pandemics head on best we could, while continuing to build our excellence as a law school and to do that in the context of our caring community. A little bit harder virtually, but we've done that as best as we could. And I'm very proud of our community today. Of course, it's been a year like no other. And in looking back and in looking forward to the COVID-19 pandemic, there were a lot of lessons learned and a lot of things that we did differently. So as you know, the majority of our classes were taught remotely the entire year. We had some first year classes that were in person and they came in pods. A portion of the class came in every day. And then we had some of our experiential learning courses that were also done live in very small, safely distant settings. And we were able to learn a lot of hard lessons from what happened in the spring of 2020, but also really use the summer. The faculty use the summer to learn, to redo, to reboot their classes, and to really offer the quality DePaul law education that we're all very proud of to our students. And we were able to do that throughout the year. And even though in those in-person classes, we were able to do that for students who wanted or needed to be remote. They were able to be remote. For those students who wanted to come in person, they were able to do that. And those that were in person, even though it was a small percentage, it meant so much to them to be able to come in the law school, especially those first year students who had never experienced that law school experience. And I'm happy to report that we were able to complete the semester. We are now in the process of take-home exams. So everybody's going to be doing exams in the privacy and the comfort of their own home. And we were able to do it safely as well. And we were able to not have any outbreaks in the classroom and be able to come together. And we were really proud of our students for the way that they really followed those protocols, and we were able to continue those classes throughout the year. So not only had our law school and our university gone remote, and even though we were, the college with the most classes in person, we were still very, very, it was a very, very small number of our classes. We also were met with a remote bar exam too, because there was no way that we could put all of those students together in a physical setting in a safe way. And so we had the October bar. As you remember, it was moved from July to October. And then we had a February exam that was remote. And now we're going to have a July exam that is remote. And now at least we have a little bit more practice. Our students are going to be pretty prepared for that, because our bar director and our bar examiners know a little bit better what we need to do for that. But even with all of those changes, and we were, as I was sitting here with you a few months ago, we really weren't sure what impact that remote exam was going to have on our students. And it was a long haul. It was a very stressful time. But we were able to continue our progression to have 3 straight years of increase in bar passage. Thanks in great part to our bar director, Professor Jamie Klepich, who's just done a remarkable job building support throughout law school and then post-graduation. So we are rallying back on bar passage, which is wonderful. And I know as alumni, you really care about that, and you care about that our students have that bar exam passage so that they can get wonderful law jobs when they get out of DePaul. So we are really on the road there in terms of our bar passage rate. But at the same same time, even though our students were rallying and our grads were rallying, that success really meant also taking care of our students' most urgent needs throughout the year. And we really had to keep a very close eye and really be very flexible and really bring together a lot of different kinds of resources throughout the year at different times. So one of the things that we knew, and of course, I'm sure you have read about now as well, whether you're in kindergarten or high school or college or graduate school, is that the disparities that have existed for our students outside of the law school and before law school have just been strengthened in a way, and really expose the inequalities and disparities among our students and the different backgrounds and the different economic circumstances from which they come. And COVID really was the breaking point, really the crisis point for many of our students. So we stepped in a number of ways throughout the year. The first is we provided emergency funding for our students. And we did that throughout the year. We started with some tech funding and some desk space for our students, so they could at least have a place to sit in a way for they could sit through their classes without losing the internet in the middle of a class. And so over the course of the year, we have awarded about $45,000 to about 60 students in that emergency fund. And I also want to thank the alumni who have contributed either through Fund for Law or specifically to that emergency fund, that your efforts have greatly helped our students in a really at a really urgent time. And I also want to express appreciation to our student affairs team, who made sure that all those students were served and they got the money just as soon as possible. And we also were able to not only provide an at-home, remote work at home kind of help, but we also always kept the law school open for our students. So even if only 5 students came during the day, or there were students taking the bar that needed a quiet place to stay and some sustained internet access, they were able to use our library and to use our spaces. And our library staff has just been phenomenal since July, keeping those doors open and keeping that space safe. So we're looking forward to more students as the fall comes, but they were great in making sure that not only students had services at home, but also services at the law school. And as you have probably seen in your own lives, and if you have children, have seen this too, that the increased stress and mental health difficulties that our students have faced have really been they've been not paralyzing, but they certainly have been headwinds for many of our students. And so we have made sure that we've provided additional mental health resources for them, whether in groups or individually, that we had programs available to them so that they could get the help that they needed when they needed it. And that was so important for them getting through the year as healthy as they could. So we have adapted in so many ways, and one more way that we're adapting to COVID, and now we're still in the first pandemic in our discussion, but our graduation is also going to be a virtual with a little bit of hybrid. We were not able to have any kind of graduation last year, and that was truly a loss for all of our graduates in our community. And so this year, the DePaul University has decided to also have a virtual graduation. We're not yet in Chicago at the point where we can really gather in larger groups. And so they made a decision a few months ago that we were going to go virtual, but also give students a chance to walk a stage in Lincoln Park, take a picture in their regalia, to at least have that little bit of that feel of graduation. So we're trying to create as much of a positive experience as possible. We're having a toast to the graduates the night before or 2 nights before graduation, and that will make it really special for them. And I think we're doing a kudo board. So if you as an alum want to write a word of encouragement to our graduates, the class of 2021, please do that. It will mean a lot to them. They really appreciate that lift up whenever they can, because it's been a hard year and a half for them. And So secondly, the racial reckoning has been something that we've been very, very focused on here at the law school as a Vincentian institution, as a law school, and that's represents training those that are going to advocate for the rule of law. Is that we've really needed to think about and have a diversity plan for our students, for our faculty, for our curriculum. And so a few years ago, group of alumni and staff and faculty and students put together a diversity plan that became a blueprint, a general plan for us to be able to work on. And all of the issues that have come up during the summer and the fall have really just accelerated some of the work that we have needed to do. And this is, this is not just at DePaul, it's across DePaul University, and the leaders of DePaul have been really standing behind these efforts because it's really important for us to model as part of our Vincentian mission of access and dignity and personalism, and also to also in legal education. We have been leading in this space as well, as diversity, inclusion, equity, and anti-racism has been really important for the law as well. So we have made a couple of really significant efforts in moving this forward. One is the creation of a diversity council, a group of alumni who have been tremendous, already have been great supports. They've been great thought leaders to me and the administration and the faculty on issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're really glad to have them as one of our standing leadership committees next to the DAC, next to the Alumni Engagement Board, as well as the Alumni Judges Committee. We also launched a community conversation series. One of the things that we realized is that we need to talk about these issues. They're difficult issues to talk about, but we need to do that. We need to do it outside of when we're in a crisis situation, outside of when we're dealing with an issue front and center. And so we had a number of those conversations in the fall, and we added this spring a workshop on micro aggressions and micro affirmations. We also added a Q&A and a profile of activist Jamal Cole, who is a wonderful leader in our city. And we also did a program on health disparities and COVID-19, which was really really important and very timely, and also was the focus of our Harris Symposium just a week or so ago. We also very significantly, kind of last but not least in this second pandemic, is to think about how do we make changes in our curriculum? How do we be more proactive? How do we integrate these lessons and the history needed to talk about and to think about diversity, equity, inclusion, systemic racism? And so we worked all year. We had a great curriculum committee that was very thoughtful, reached out to get information and perspectives from our community. And I'm proud to tell you that we have just passed some of those, actually all of the recommendations, but 3 of them went through the full faculty. One is to have a course, an upper division course in anti-racism, and they can pick from a slew of courses in anti-racism and social justice. And then secondly, there will be a learning outcome related to justice, and particularly racial justice. And that will be an outcome that will be articulated, which means that every student that graduates from DePaul will have some exposure to this area, so that they can be much more, we consider to be well-rounded, able to really work in the communities in which we serve, whatever their field of practice. And the third is that we've adopted a recommendation that all 1L doctrinal courses have some module, some integration of racism and structural inequality. And those 1L teachers will be working on some of that work over the summer. So we have some implementation to do for next year, but these are really wonderful efforts and allow us to really lead and put this in front and center for our students. So we're very proud of those developments. Last but not least is the economy. The economy, as you know, has been a wild ride in a way. It's been allowed some strength to continue in some sectors of the legal profession, and some areas and some sectors to be weakened post. Now we're still in the pandemic, but now and probably post pandemic. And so our law career services team has been really agile, and they've tried to help our students wherever they are, to help them to get the jobs that are available. For example, we have a lot of students that go into trial work, med mal work, that sort of work. That work has not been quite as strong an area, but business and other areas have been stronger. And so we've been trying to do some good matches and to create more opportunities for our students in the areas in which there are jobs available. And I think it's really wonderful then to be able to report to you that the class of 2020, whom we fingers crossed we're going to be able to place well, but had no idea if we were going to be able to, is that our career placement rate for full-time, long-term, JD required and JD advantage jobs, that's a mouthful, but that's what we look to as those full-time jobs that are either lawyers or those in business in which they use their law degree. We've exceeded the national average, and we've exceeded some of our peer competitors in the region. And that is wonderful. That's not something we have not seen at least as long as I have been dean. And so again, those are really, that shows the efforts not only of our law career services office and our faculty, but also our alumni, because all of you have been really helpful to us to create opportunities to mentor our students. And that has made a huge difference. I asked you to do that 5 years ago, and you have really come and answered that call, and it's made a huge difference. I do believe in the success of the class of 2020. OCI looks a little bit different, or it did look a little bit different in February, as we had a virtual on-campus interview process, and again we were very strong. We saw a few more law firms than we saw last year. We saw a few more students placed than we did last year. So we really didn't miss a beat, and we are hoping that we'll have OCI back in July and August, and if possible to have that in person. Although I think that one of the things about the pandemic is that we're all kind of thinking, does this all make sense to be in person? Does it make sense maybe not to travel so far distances? And what are the resources? What do we win? And what do we gain? And also, what do we lose by not having in-person interviews? So those conversations continue, but at least right now we're planning on in-person OCI, and that planning is already begun. And before I talk to you about coming back to campus in the fall, because we're already planning for that, I just want to end with some news. Some of you have heard, and some of you have not, that we've been really trying to embrace and really celebrate the best we can over the last couple of weeks. We have moved up now 21 ranks in U.S. News over the last 2 years. And that has been through a lot of careful planning, a ton of work, particularly in the areas that I've just described, in admissions, in bar passage, in career placement, that have really helped us, really move the needle for us to be recognized for the excellence that we are and the excellence that we have. And so it's really great to get that recognition. And as you also know, we've been talking a lot about and really building up the programs of excellence that we have here at the law school. And we have a number of them that have national and regional recognition. And we've been trying to really, shore those up, both in terms of alumni connections, job placement, student support. And we're very proud to be able to report that 7 of our programs have been given grades of either an A or A+ in Pre-Law magazine, which is one of those information sources that students that are incoming students, that are potential students, applicants to law school, are looking at. So that's really great that the word is getting out there. Again, we have the excellence, and now the world is recognizing the excellent programs that we have. So we're really excited about that as well. So we've been trying to kind of embrace, kind of seize the moment, at least for a minute, and then say, okay, we did a really good job this year, notwithstanding the pandemic, notwithstanding the economy, working on racial justice issues, and now we're ready to move forward for the next year. So I want to tell you a little bit, give you a little bit of preview of our return to campus for the fall. We are planning for and are looking forward to a full return to campus in person. As you know, our mayor said that Chicago is going to open in July, and we're going to open in August. That's the plan. We know how to adapt and pivot back if we need to, but we are planning for a full open, and hope the pandemic will cooperate with us. But all trending is in the right direction. And to add to that, and to make sure that we're providing as safe an environment as we can, and to really facilitate that opening, is that the university, DePaul University, you may have read, is going to require vaccinations of all of our students, we're part of a growing trend in colleges and universities across the country. And I know it was a hard decision, a thorough decision making process by the university, but it's been met very positively at the law school, because it just makes it possible for us to get together and to feel better as we come. And most of the faculty and staff, as far as I know, have been vaccinated, been eager to be vaccinated, so they can come on campus and be with the students. So our incoming class, we don't have them yet, but we are certainly getting a lot of excitement for their return to campus, and we're having some in-person events small in-person events in June. We've been recruiting them virtually all year long, and our admissions team has done an awesome job doing that now for the second year in a row. And by all accounts, so far, fingers crossed, everybody, that we are also on the trend to have increasing LSAT and GPA in our incoming class, along with a very strong diverse class as well. So we're very again, all moving in the right direction. I think, to end, I mean, it's been a hard year for everybody, and we appreciate you hanging in there. One of the things that we have really felt the loss is of our community, and I miss all the alumni. We've really, we really tried to respect your time and to say, well, Zoom events we know have been hard to go to. You're on Zoom all day. You probably don't want to Zoom, at night regularly with your fellow alumni. But we hear you, and we are getting ready for some in-person events in the fall, and we'll let you know when they come. But we want to keep rebuilding our alumni community. We have great traditions. We have a great community that we want to just get together. So just hang on. We'll be getting together very soon in the coming months. But we've been more focused actually on the loss of community for our students. We found that has been one of the biggest losses. And as a law student, you understand, especially for our first year students, imagining not ever being able to see your fellow students. Imagine never really meeting your faculty members from 1L year, the year you talk about for 40 years afterwards, right? Because it's such an important year in your life. And so we are going to be doing our best to rebuild those student-to-student relationships, the student-faculty relationships, and also our students' relationships with you. The Zoom and the virtual provides a little bit of a barrier to meeting new people, to networking, to mentoring. We've done it and we haven't stopped it, but we really think we need to rebuild and be more intentional with all of that in the next few months and in the year to come. So I ask you for a few things. I always try to end with a couple of asks of you. And as I said before, you have what I have asked of you, you have delivered. You have given me in abundance. You have provided emergency funding. You have mentored our students and networked our students. You have volunteered. You have given our students jobs. And that all has made a difference in the success that we have been able to achieve over the last 6 years. And so I thank you for that. But we're not going to stop. I know you want to have the most excellent law school possible, and so consistent with our mission. And so as we have this year, we've really focused on the emergency needs of our students, whether it's technology, scholarships, fellowships, bar passage. We've been able to serve those needs. But now we want to move forward, and we want to create more sustainable funding for emergencies for our students, because they're going to come up. We realize that now. Students had emergencies, they dropped out. Students had emergencies, they made things, they got another job. If we have funds like that available to our students, we won't have to put them in such dire straits, whether we have a pandemic or not. And so we were going to continue the call for funding. Those scholarships and fellowships, we've been having combined efforts. The crowdfunding was a great idea. PILA came up, we came up with some money. But again, we want to have more sustainable funding so our students can get those experiences during the summer so they can really get a really strong start to their careers. So I will ask you, if you have the ability to do so, to give to the Fund for Law. If you're thinking of giving a gift this year, you can always go to our secure website at give.depaul.edu/law. It's easy to do, and James Redmond can help you if you want to navigate that website with him. But it all makes a difference. That's really the most important message I want to send with you today. But if you decide, you know what, I don't, or I can't give financially, you all have resources that you can give to our students and our recent grads. You can give us a lead on a hire. You can mentor our students. And you can also volunteer. There are a number of ways to volunteer in our P2P program or to help to recruit the next generation of DePaul students. So whatever you enjoy, whatever would give you a reward, make you feel good in giving back to your law school, again, talk to James and we'll find some opportunities for you. So I want to end with gratitude. I usually start with gratitude, but today I'm going to end with gratitude. So I want to thank, at the end of this very hard but rewarding year, our dedicated faculty, our caring staff, our engaged alumni board members and leaders, our enthusiastic volunteers across the law school, our inspiring mentors, our steadfast employers, and our generous donors. You all mean the world to us. So let me end with a quote that I'm actually going to share in my remarks at graduation, but it is a theme that I think resonates very well with us this year. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope. That is a quote from Helen Keller, and it is one to live by. And also, I just want to count on your optimism and your hope in us and in DePaul in the years to come. Thank you so far for that optimism and hope, and we will continue. Thank you. Have a great summer.